Hi YouTube. I decided that it was probably about time I made a sharpening video. I know every other maker's got a sharpening video out there, and I decided that, at first I figured if you want to learn how to sharpen, you could go to any of those guys' videos, but somebody asked me to make my own, so here it is. I guess the biggest difference between me and a lot of other makers when it comes to sharpening is that I don't offer free sharpening. The reason that I don't offer free sharpening is that I would much rather take an hour or 2 or 3 hours worth of my time to walk you through sharpening your own knife versus taking the 10 minutes to unbox your knife when it gets here, sharpen it, test it right quick, package it back up, print out a shipping label, have the postman swing by my house the next day and pick up your knife and send it back to you. It's that important to me that I would rather spend an hour or 2 or 3, if it takes that, to teach you how to sharpen your own knife versus taking 10 minutes of my time and sharpening it for you. If I sharpen your knife, then when it gets dull, you have to ship it back to me to sharpen it again, or find somebody else that can sharpen it. If I teach you how to sharpen your own knife, that frees you. From then on, you can put your own edge on there. You can adjust the edge angle. You can adjust the grip finish. You can put a different edge on one part of the knife than on the other part of the knife if that's what suits you. You can do anything you want to. Which is why I would much rather teach you how to sharpen your own knife, or at least the basics, and then let you learn on your own versus sharpening the knife for you. I think offering a free sharpening service would be doing a huge disservice to my customer base if I was to start offering that. Now, if you have a damaged knife, a kitchen knife, you knock a big chip out of it or something like that, it could take you an hour or two to fix that at home, or, it would take me 10 minutes to fix it in most cases. So, damage, yes, you can ship it back to me and I'll repair it, but regular, normal sharpening, I would much rather you learned how to do that yourself. Anyway, I do burr-based sharpening. I like a coarser grit finish than most folks like. I guess probably start going through the tools right off the bat. Okay, I'm going to pick you up here and move you around. I use paper towels, a brick, selection of sharpening stones. I really like the Smith's, is probably my favorite. It's a Smith's 325 grit stone. They label it the coarse. I'm not sure if they count the 325 when it's brand new or after it's been broke in for a little while. The DMT blue is a 325 grit also. You can pick these right here. Let's see, you can order these from Walmart. I think you can order these from Walmart. These you can usually pick up at Walmart's in the kitchen cutlery section. It's the same interrupted surface, diamond honed, only it's in a oval cross section like a steel. These you can usually pick up in the sporting goods department. It's got a coarse side and a fine side. When they're brand spanking new, the fine side, I don't mind it. After it's worn in a little bit, I think it's a little bit too fine for the type of edge that I like, and I usually just use the coarse side. Here's a stone that I picked up a long time ago. Well, this is just the box. It's well, you can see it's seen better days. It's a Norton combination stone. Got a coarse side and a fine side. I've used this one. It was already well used when I got it, and I've used it quite a bit since then. Use that for shaping edges. So now let me set you down here. Hopefully get you pointed to where you'll be right over my shoulder when I start working. For sharpening at the bench, what I like to do is grab a paper towel, wet it down really good with just plain water on the bench. Grab a brick, set it down on top of that. another wet paper towel on top of it. And what this does is it raises the stone up off the bench so that my hand has got plenty of clearance to run along the side of the stone. These stones, they used to come, or at least the little ones, came with a lifetime warranty. I usually go through about 4 or 5 of these stones a year. I figure they give really good service. I've never sent one back. But I sharpen a lot of knives. I usually make in between 20 and probably 40 knives a month. So all of those, of course, need sharpened, plus shop knives, test knives, you know, my own personal hunting knife, everyday carry knife, and kitchen knives. Any friends that stop by, sometimes they'll ask me to sharpen knives for them. Generally speaking, if they're not in a hurry, then I'll, have them sharpen them themselves. But it's really quick and really easy. We need a test knife here, and this is a Necker based off of Murray Carter's pattern. I decided to try making a couple of those and see how I liked them. And I'll probably shoot another video on these here in just a second after I'm done with this one. But anyway, right now it'll cut pretty good, so we're going to have to, of course, fix that. And we'll grab the edge of this stone and knock the edge off. Horrible sound. This should be pretty dull. That's just these are pretty thin knives, so they've got a real nice edge geometry, so they'll continue to cut a lot even when they're dull. The easiest way to see what you're going to be doing is the old magic marker trick. What you'll do is mark a line down both sides of the edge. Then find about whatever angle it is that you're wanting to use. These stones, you can use them wet or you can use them dry. I usually like to use them with a little bit of water on them. But anyway, set your angle. You can lay it flat down on the stone and then raise it up to, I've heard all different kinds of tricks on this, from using quarters on the spine and a little bit of math to figure out what your angle is, raising up to where you feel the flat of the bevel that's already on there. It just kind of depends which angle that you're after. But I set an angle that's just enough to clear your main bevels, and then you can take a couple of strokes. And then you can see where your magic marker has been worn off. Well, that light's probably in the way, isn't it? And what you're shooting for is to remove all that marker from right at the edge. If it'll focus up close enough here, something to point with. Okay, so see, right there I've still got the magic marker, and right there it's all gone. Which means that I'm roughly at the angle that I want it to be. Now, like I said, I use burr-based sharpening, which a lot of guys say that that overstresses the steel at the very edge, but it works pretty good for me. So what I'll do is I'll just stay on one side, and you can either, do a slicing motion like you're trying to slice a postage stamp off the top of the stone, or you can set your angle, put your fingertips on the bevels, and then run it back and forth. Which is good for if you want to remove a lot of metal in a hurry, which, scraping the end of that sharpening stone, we'll probably have to take a few thousandths off to be able to get it there. And we're almost there. The coarse stone versus the fine stone. I get into this an awful lot I really like a coarser edge than what most people do. And the reason for that is, well, there's probably several reasons. One of them could be I'm just lazy, you know. I mean, uh, I've spent hours and hours and hours sharpening one knife, you know, and getting a mirror edge on the thing. And then you take it out, and the first time you really put it to hard use, you know, you knock that edge off that you spent hours putting on. Well, most of the time when I'm using a knife, I'm working. And I'm using the knife to get through whatever it is that I need to get done so that I can go back to work. And so I'm probably an awful lot rougher on my knives than most folks are. And so I don't want to have to take a whole lot of time to sharpen each blade. Another reason is that that coarse edge gives you plenty of serrations on the edge. And those serrations, the little micro teeth from the grit, you know, they act like a saw. Well, if you have a hacksaw, you know, you can get different tooth hacksaw blades. Most of the stuff I cut is fairly rough. Rope, wood, leather, maybe opening boxes, you know, that sort of thing. I don't really cut receipt paper or newspaper very often. So a coarse edge suits me pretty fine. Okay, so now I can feel that I've got a burr on each side. So when I was sharpening on this side, I'd feel a burr on this side of the blade, on the opposite side that you're sharpening. Then I sharpened on this side until the burr moved to this side. So now that I know both sides of that edge have been sharpened down, that burr means that they're meeting. So now what we need to do is weaken that burr. 3 steps to sharpening. Get your burr, weaken the burr, remove the burr. It's as simple as that. So since I got a burr on both sides, now what I want to do is ease up quite a bit on my pressure and just take a few strokes on each side. I suppose you could count 3, 4, you know, 2, but we're just trying to weaken that burr up. And use lighter and lighter pressure as you're getting that burr weaker and weaker, and fewer strokes on each side. Now once we've got that burr to a point where we think it's fairly weak, the last thing to do, you can remove a burr. Let's see how much time I have left. You can remove a burr in several different ways. You can strop the burr, which would work harden that burr by moving it back and forth until it breaks off. You can knock the burr off by putting it in a piece of wood. Is that on camera or not? Yeah, on a piece of soft wood, and then just lightly breaking the burr off. My preference is to create a micro bevel by shearing that burr off. So what you'll do is put whatever edge you're sharpening was at, raise that spine up to 30, 35, 40 degrees, somewhere around there, and then just using the weight of the knife, if it's a light knife. If it's a heavy knife, you'll have to pick up on the knife so that you're just very, very lightly going across the stone. And then very lightly at a nice steep angle, you just do a couple of strokes on each side. And what you're trying to do there is just shear off that burr. That's it. You're not trying to remove very much metal off of the edge itself. You're just trying to shear that burr off. And you feel for the burr on both sides. Not really feeling it. And then I like to test on my face. And you can tell by the amount of pressure that it takes to grab the hair on your face. Also, the sound that it makes, how sharp it is. This one's a pretty good edge. You know, it's taking hair off my face fairly aggressively. And we'll see how it cuts. Got some of my testing rope here. This is some pretty hard abrasive rope that I use for testing heat treats and stuff. And that nice coarse edge just crunches right through that rope. A more polished edge usually won't cut as aggressively on rope and wood and leather and things like that. So a lot of times you'll have to push an awful lot harder to get that edge to cut through the rope. I like that coarse edge because it just starts ripping and tearing the moment that it grabs, or the moment that it contacts the rope. So you have to use less, there's less strain on your wrist and your hand. Leather, this is a little bit under a 1/4 inch heavy leather, and it's just slicing it up. We can make some little curls. Wood, this is some poplar probably. And this is a real thin blade, so it's, heck, if I get about at the right angle, it'll cut through that whole piece in just one cut since it's so nice and thin. But anyways, that's how I like to sharpen a knife. I guess I better get on to the neck review. Hope you enjoyed it.